Hello, everyone. My name is Julie McVey, and this is Unordinary Made Ordinary, where we talk about extraordinary experiences of everyday people. And today we have a returning guest, Deborah Byrd. Welcome.
Hello. Hello.
I'm so glad to see you again. Several months back now.
I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. We were saying at the end, we're going to have you back.
I'm happy to be back, Julie.
And
yes, you did.
Yes. So for those who have not seen our first conversation, would you mind, Deborah, just sharing a little bit about yourself?
Well, of course, you know my name. I am a retired nurse. I was in nursing for 33 years. I graduated from nursing school in 1985. I met Anthony. We call him Tony. I met him in 1975. We were both 18, and we never separated since that time. And we went on from there, and I worked as a nurse for 33 years. Had 4 children, and recently I graduated from college for healthcare administration, but I haven't actually gone into that field yet. But Tony is a professional, or was a professional musician, and he began playing at the age of 13. And we got together and lived life and just loved each other for 41 years before he passed in 2016.
You said kids, and how many kids?
Yes, we also have 4 adult children and 10 grandchildren and 1 great-granddaughter. So we have a large family.
Wonderful. So why don't you share a little, well, because just to start, before we start sharing more about Tony, you did or did not grow up in a religious household?
I did not grow up in a religious household. I've heard religious stories that I was asked to, depend on for, whatever I was going to do in my life. But we were not religious, what you would call religious. So we didn't actually, I don't know if I want to use the word believe in the afterlife, but we never talked about it.
Okay.
So it wasn't a thing in our household.
And you and Tony, your husband, you two didn't really believe in an afterlife, neither of you?
Well, here's the thing, and I didn't mention this to you last time. The first time that I actually, it actually raised my eyebrow is when Tony's mother passed in 1993. She had a near-death experience before she passed.
Whoa.
And that was the first time, that was in 1993. That was the first time that I ever even heard of anything afterlife. So that was an experience, and I always remembered that. And then I also didn't mention to you that Tony had a near-death experience before he passed as well.
No, you did not tell me.
So, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I
told you I have that widow's fault. Yeah.
That's okay.
So, I was
So when was Tony's?
Kind of drifting. His was I'm going to say in maybe 2008.
Okay. Huh.
And he didn't really go into details with me, and I didn't really push him about it because I didn't have the awareness to actually question him about it. So I kind of took what he said at face value. And we never talked about it again.
That's interesting. You're just like, okay, didn't know what to make of it, probably. I'm thinking.
Exactly. So I had a habit back then, I think, of pushing things under the rug, which was not a good thing.
Okay. Well, you weren't allowed to do that after the passing of Tony. And can you just share a little bit of why you were forced to face that there is an afterlife?
Well, the first thing that happened with me, Julie, is I had a premonition. I had a dream about maybe a week or so before he passed. And in that dream, now you have to remember, we weren't expecting him to pass. We knew he was ill, but we had everything under control. And I had a dream that he passed. And he got up out of the coffin at his funeral, walked over to me, reached his hand out and said, "Come on, Dad, let's go home." He walked me down a nice, long cathedral aisle and opened a door, and I got a glimpse of heaven. And I woke up immediately. I immediately woke up. That was it. And the dream set really bad with me because I couldn't talk to him about it. I couldn't talk to my kids about it. So I carried that dream in my gut for a week or so. And I mean, every time I woke up in the morning, that dream hit me because that was the last thing I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, I fought really hard to keep my husband alive. I mean, I fought really, really hard to keep him alive. I defied doctors, nurses, you know, I did whatever I needed to do to keep him alive. So for me, that dream didn't sit well. So finally, one day I woke up, and this was like a couple of days before he passed. And I woke up and I just instantly felt better. But the day he passed, he wanted me to rub his back. And I got up to go and get the lotion from the restroom, and a voice stopped me and told me to turn around and look at your husband. And I turned around and looked at him, and he was lying in the bed with his back to me. So I got ready to take another step, and the same voice directed me to go over and look at my husband. And when I did, he was having a seizure. So that's the moment we called 911 and got him to the hospital. And even then, he was, I think whoever came to get him was there with him the whole time, because he was talking like, not really out of his head, but he was talking to someone.
Okay.
He was talking to someone. So, you know, it was very traumatic for all of us because we weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
But then I kept thinking about that dream that I had and those premonitions to get him to the hospital. And I think that may be because it just wasn't meant for him to pass in the house with the kids and grandkids here.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I think. Because he could have just as easily passed right there in the bed. But he was meant to be surrounded by family. So we were all there for him.
Yes. And yeah, I can't even imagine, but and you said, to your surprise, but in a way not to your surprise, because he contacted you, but you two had already had this unusual telepathic communication between the two of you. So when he contacted you, can you tell us about that first time when he spoke to you?
Well, yes. Well, the first thing that happened, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you last time, the very first thing that happened when I walked into the house, when I walked into my bedroom, the clock had stopped at its time of death. And I'm like, that's really weird because I just bought this clock and I just bought a fresh pack of batteries. And so I took the clock down off the wall, took the battery out, took the battery and put it in another clock. and the clock was working. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? What is going on? So that night, I was here with my son and my grandsons, and he just started speaking to me.
That same day? Was it the day
of,
right?
Same day.
Yeah.
It was a couple of hours, yes.
It's just amazing.
It was a couple of hours after he passed. He just started speaking to me, and he told me to come outside. Mm-hmm. So I got up and I went outside, and I was telling him how sorry I was that I couldn't save him. And he immediately stopped me.
Yeah.
And told me, listen to me carefully. I need to tell you this. And he gave me instructions about his memorial service, what to do with his remains. You know, he told me that he would always be here with me and how much he loved me. And he gave me a hug. I could actually feel him hug me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I thought he was saying goodbye. I thought he was saying goodbye. He was not saying goodbye. He was not saying goodbye.
So you two started
But I didn't realize it at that moment. Immediately, because he would, the very first signs he would give me, he always wanted me to know he was close. So he would start nudging me. And like I said, during that time, I was in school. So I wasn't home a lot. And I had my internship coming up. And the place that I did it, and it's such a coincidence, because the place where I did my internship was a type of hospice that people go for their last days. And they had created an office for me in the basement. And he would always nudge me or poke me to let me know he was close to me. Always nudge me or poke me to let me know he was close. And he still does at times. If I'm out somewhere, he'll let me know he's close.
Yeah. Yeah. And you shared, now in our first interview conversation, you shared quite a few amazing occurrences. And you said you have a list that we wanted to talk about more of those. So listen to the other, you'll have to listen to the other interview to hear about some of the other communications. I think it is interesting though. First of all, again, this is totally fascinating to me that you two, while living, had telepathic communications between one another. I don't think I asked you, when did that start in your marriage?
I would say after like the 10th year. I think we were married maybe about 10 years before we started just feeling each other telepathically.
Okay.
But it wasn't something that we tried to harness on our own. It was something that the universe created for us. So we just took advantage of it.
Yeah.
And I just found a video a couple of days ago, and it kind of made me sad, where he was talking to me on stage. You can imagine how I felt looking at that video.
He was talking to you what?
He was talking to me on stage while he was playing drums.
Yeah. Okay.
I was in the audience. And I could actually see, and I knew exactly what he was saying, and it really just made me sad to see it. So yeah, because we had a telepathy that was just out of this world.
Quite amazing. Now you've been in several groups. It's been since 2016 now. So you've been in grieving groups and all kinds of stuff, including like Love Afterlife, those who stay in these trans-dimensional relationships with their spouse who've passed on. Have you run into anyone who had this telepathic communication while their spouse was living?
No.
Wow.
No, I have not.
It's so fascinating.
Not to the degree that we had it. Ours was a little tipsy. I've heard of couples finish each other's sentences.
Yeah.
things like that. But ours went a little further than that. I mean, we could actually communicate. He could actually walk in a store and just a giant store. He could walk right in and walk right to me. And I could hear him coming from behind.
Yeah.
We're in a huge store with thousands of people. And I would tell him, I know you're behind me. And I turn around and he'd be smiling at me.
Oh my goodness.
It was extraordinary. Yeah, I don't know why we were gifted with this, but we enjoyed it. And even with his kids, you know how teenagers go out and, maybe not come home on time. For some reason, I never could understand that. He could go right to his kids. It's like he knew right where they were at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm like, how do you do that?
He's got a gift. And what you shared with me last time that I think is important is that he has been able to communicate with from the other side to his kids and his grandkids, specifically his daughter, right? Who has given you plenty of confirmation information.
Yes, she has. Yes, she has. She has given me information regarding conversations that she was never even a part of.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That's fascinating. That is fascinating.
So I'm kind of curious, you were mentioning before we began recording, you said something about a healing and that you wanted to share.
Yes. I had a static ulcer on my left ankle that I've had since 2003. I went to 5 different doctors to try to get it healed, and nobody could heal the ulcer. I got infections back to back. It was just horrific. I used to have to keep it wrapped. So I spent a lot of money on gauze and leg wraps, and I couldn't wear dresses. It was horrible. So I just came to terms with it. I just knew I was going to die with this ulcer on my leg. So when he passed, I'm going through all this emotion because I know he's still here. So I'm really not paying attention to myself and my own health.
Okay.
So one day I was minding my own business and he spoke to me telepathically and he said, look at your leg. And I looked down at my leg because there was a wrap on it. So I said, I gotta see what he's talking about. So I got ready to take the wrap off and it slid. Now the only way it could slide if it's healed. It has to be healed because the ulcer was the size of a 50-cent piece. It had grown that big and it was open like to the bone.
Oh, man.
And I took my leg and put it on the bed, took the wrap off, looked at it. It was completely healed. It was completely healed, Julie.
Oh, that's just amazing.
Unbelievable. It was and it's still healed.
It's
great. Still healed. Yeah. It was completely healed. Wow. I had it since 2003. It was completely healed.
And you didn't know, and he told you.
That wasn't the end of it. Yes, because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Just to show you.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. So that wasn't the end of it. About maybe a month or so later, I'm sitting minding my own business, and he says, "Look at your leg." Okay. And I'm like, "What now? What could it be?" And I took it and put it on the bed, and I looked at it. It was a cross on it. It was a cross engraved in the skin.
What?
I'm serious.
Okay.
When you talk to Alyssa, she saw the picture.
Wow. Okay. And Alyssa is someone
I sent her a picture
interviewing
of it.
For those who don't know. So is it like, where is it on, like on your, like a tattoo and a scar, or
yeah, it's like a tattoo.
Is it
yes,
color
it's like
with
a
color?
Tattoo. it's like lighter than the area of the ulcer, because the area of the ulcer is darker because it's been open for so long.
Oh,
The
so
way it healed, the skin on it is dark. So the cross is like right in the middle of it, and it's like lighter than all the skin around it.
Okay. Oh my
Can you
gosh.
believe that?
That's
So I do have one witness. And I'm glad that I sent her, because I was so ashamed of the way it looked. But
really?
I had to let somebody see. Yes. Because I mean, a 13-year-old sore in your leg doesn't look pleasant. And you know, I didn't want anyone to see that. But I marveled at what he had done.
Yeah.
And I just had to have somebody to see it. So I sent her a picture, and she was really amazed.
Well, so did the cross
because
have
this
any
stuff doesn't happen every day.
significance between the two of you?
Not that I know of.
Okay. He just wanted to show
I'm not sure. I guess he just wanted to show
that he could see everything that's going on with you physically, your health, everything.
Yes.
It seems like.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Makes me wonder how when we cross over, if we have these kinds of abilities. I mean, he already seemed like he was a communicator and was telepathic. So it's not that surprising that when he transitions and he still has this ability, but it's interesting that he can see what's going on with you physically, even if it's covered.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really not sure why or how, but it's pretty much a miracle. It really is.
Yeah, well,
because I went to some really good doctors. One of my doctor friends is a chief of surgeon and with breast cancer surgery. And this guy got a lot under his belt. And he looked at me one day and he said, I don't know what's wrong with your leg. I don't know why it won't heal. And when I heard him say that, I kind of knew I was doomed.
Well, did you ever go back and show him that it was healed?
No, because I don't even know if he's still there at the hospital. I mean,
just
this
out
was
of curiosity.
Years
I mean, what are they going to say?
He told me that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you had so many years. It's a long time.
Yeah, that was years ago, maybe 2005. Wow. Because it took it a while to get in that condition. So it was in bad condition.
Yeah.
I couldn't wear dresses at all.
So check your list. What other, I'm just curious about other ways that Tony has reached out to you. And you said that he's still daily communicates with you. He's still making sure you know he's around.
Yes, we got a thing now. I like to call it a meditation.
Oh.
My children call it a cuddle.
Oh.
So you know, you can call it what you need to call it, but he comes to me every day. I can actually feel him in bed with me. And I know people probably are pretty skeptical about it, but I was too at first.
Yeah.
But he's let me know that I'm not imagining things. Not at all.
I mean, he's continually gives you confirmation. So, like you were mentioning, is it okay if I ask about the feathers?
Sure. Yes, let me tell you about this one time.
Okay.
With a big, pretty, beautiful black feather. I should have brought it in here to show you.
That's what I was thinking.
This was really weird to me because, like I said, I've seen them. I've been sitting on the bed or sitting in a chair, and a feather just come floating out of the sky, and float and land right on me.
in the bedroom? Just randomly in the bedroom? I thought you meant outside. Oh my goodness, that's really
no. Most of my feathers. See, that's the thing. Most of my feathers are from inside. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
blown
And
away
if
by
I
that.
had known that you would be interested, I would have brought them in here and showed them to
Dang
you. But I know, right? But
let me know
the
if you want
black
me to
feather was
pause and then
astonishing.
we can start again if you want to run and get them, but we'll see how it goes.
I can go get them.
Okay.
I love showing my feathers.
Okay, I think I can do
So
this.
you want to pause? Do I have to do anything?
No. All right, so you were able to get the feathers. Please show us the.
I was able to get the feathers.
Okay.
Well, this one is special because I almost ate it.
Okay.
It was in my napkin.
Move it closer.
And I know nothing. Nothing
there
was in
you
my
go.
napkin. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So you're at home?
I was at home.
Okay.
I had just fixed my plate. I grabbed a napkin, folded it in half, put it by my plate, went to wash my hands, came back, ate my dinner, opened my napkin, didn't look, and I felt this rubbing up against my lips.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what the? Because I'm wondering what's on my mouth, right? And I looked, and it was laying in the napkin. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. He is, my kids call him the king of feathers. I got so many feathers here. Some of them I don't even want to take out. I'm scared they'll fly away.
Yeah.
But I got over 75.
You
but
can show
I do
it. You
have
can
a couple here.
show us the jar, I guess, if you don't want to take them out. But
okay.
Yeah. So, oh boy, just random feathers, just to say, because I've heard this before.
Just random feathers.
That spirit can use feathers to say hello. And I don't know how that works. I
never had a feather in my life. I don't either, but I know one thing. The very first feather that I did receive, what happened was, I told you the story about Charlie, the little poodle that used to play with Tony. And I ended up, because after a while, Charlie got to the point where he didn't understand what was going on. It was okay with him at first because he didn't really realize Tony had passed. But once he realized that Tony had passed, his whole demeanor changed. So I had to give him to my daughter. And the very day that she came to pick him up, I walked her out to the door, locked the door, walked back in the kitchen, and I'm gonna see if I have that particular feather. That was the first one I got. It's
just so interesting. And you don't have a lot of birds that live, well, you don't have any birds in your house. No, I don't. Look at that. Wow. This one was on the front seat of my car when I got ready to go pick up my cap and gown, and the door was locked. And if you can see, it's just so amazing. The way the colors in this feather are not normal. And I don't know any birds that have stripes in them. I don't know. So I always thought this one was very unusual. Very. And like I said, this is the very first one I got, because I walked back in the house after walking my daughter to the door, and it was laying right in the middle of the kitchen floor. The little white one? Just laying there. That little white one. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of tried to remember, had I heard that before? And I immediately went and researched it. And then I learned that your loved ones leave feathers. And he just went crazy after that. Sometimes like, she's got it. Now I'm gonna. Yeah, to the point where the kids call him the king of feathers. So I made a little top with his name on it. I love it. For the feathers. I don't know if you can see them. Yep. It's a lot in here. Yeah. Yeah. So, Deborah, I adore his little gifts. I don't even know what to say about that. That's just really amazing to me. Yeah, I adore his little gifts. So yes, I have been blessed. I don't know why, but you'll take it. I'm very grateful for it. I'll take it. I will take it.
So, like I said, other than the feathers, you know, he's doing all kind of stuff. He taps. He likes to tap because I told you he was a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his thing. I've seen him play drums in his sleep. So tapping was his thing. And he taps a lot.
Wait, so he would be
so
like this in his sleep? Like he'd move?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
And now you're hearing actual tapping like on a table or something, or what it sounds like?
I hear tapping on the table. He taps me. He taps the wall. He taps the bed. He loves tapping the bed. So he's a tapper. And then I've heard other widows say the same thing. So I guess tapping is something that they try to master.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I've had a couple of other widows tell me that, that their husbands tap.
Wow.
I guess it's a thing.
See, this is good for me to know. I mean, I have a few people who have passed on, but I haven't loved ones. But I don't think I've experienced any of those types of things.
Well, that's the thing with me as well, Judy. I haven't either. I have so many. I come from an extremely large family, extremely large. I have to say at least 50 cousins. Okay. And most of them that are older than me have passed.
Uh-huh. And nothing.
Not to include all of my grandparents, all of my parents, my brother, a lot of relatives. Mm-hmm. And no one has ever.
Do you have a theory as why this, not only is he connecting with you, and I know this happens with other people, but this is a strong connection. Do you have a theory as to why it's so strong?
Well, yeah, I think I do. Because during the beginning of his passing, he also let me know that we were twin flames. So I'm sure you've heard of that saying.
I have,
before. But yeah, he told me we are twin flames. And he made me do all the research. And he made me do it while I was trying to study to get my degree. So it was very overwhelming. But when I actually found out, because what I did was I researched and I came up with the soulmate theory. And I was fine with that. But he wasn't. And he let me know.
Oh.
He told me to keep going. And I'm like, what else is there? I had never heard of twin flames. I had no idea. And he told me to keep going. And I'm like, going to what? You know, and it began to get frustrating because, you know, when you're going to school and you got papers due and this and that, when you get a chance to lay that computer down, that's what you want to do. You don't want to go on there and have to research this and look at, and it's like, dude.
Yes.
What is it? So finally, I remember when I got to the first, I'm trying to think of a word that I should call it. When I got to the first, kind of definition of what it actually consists of, being a twin flame, some of the symptoms and the signs, I was flabbergasted because a lot of them we had went through.
Oh.
A lot of them we had went through. And it was almost like they were describing us.
What kinds of things defines a twin flame then? Because I mean, it seems that not all of us, well, I don't know a lot of people who feel like they know their twin flame in this life. So a couple, I do know a couple.
But it's pretty rare. Society is trying to make it more vast than it really is, but it's very rare.
Oh, okay.
But society is pushing, and a lot of people are saying they're twin flames when they're really not. You know, they may be in a karmic relationship or whatever their journey is. But they try to name it a twin flame relationship when it really is not. And for me, if I had have known of twin flames, I certainly wouldn't have gave us this label, because that's too important to just say to yourself, okay, we're twin flames.
What are some of
That's not
the
how it works.
characteristics of a twin flame relationship?
Well, for us, we had met before we actually met.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the characteristics. Another is the way you meet.
Okay.
And the circumstances that you meet under. Like with us, I was looking for an apartment, and I didn't want to move. And it was my friend's mother's apartment, which is Tony's mother. And I didn't really want to move there, but she said, girl, you should come and look at it. You may like it. So I said, well, I'll go out of respect to her, because I had already made my mind up that I wasn't going to move there. And Tony was also there. He had just got there that night before. He was somewhere where he shouldn't have been, but he had just come home. And he didn't even know where he was when he woke up. And I knocked on the door and woke him up. And it was like neither one of us was expecting anything that dramatic, because when he opened the door, he was angry because he was asleep. And I'm like banging on the door. So you wouldn't expect him to be so pleasant when he comes to the door. And you could see it in his face. But when he looked at me and we locked eyes, I seen his whole face changed. And it was like, what just happened? I mean, it almost felt like something was happening on the earth. I mean, I can't even describe it, Julie. It was really weird. But now I see why it felt that way. And it seemed like everybody turned against us. Everybody turned against us.
Why?
And that just only made us want to be together more. So it was really weird. We went through a lot. We went through a lot to be together.
And you're still together. And I hear, well, from our last interview, not only are you going to remarry after you transition, right?
Yes.
He's got
a whole,
absolutely, like a home and a place planned for you, for the both of you.
Yes.
I think that's
absolutely.
important to share, to know.
Yes, that's very important. Yes. It certainly gives one something to look forward to. I mean, life is really hard when you lose somebody you love that much. It really is.
Yeah.
It's very hard, because you have to learn to not only to adapt to them being not present anymore, but who's going to take on their chores? Somebody's got to take on their chores too.
Yeah.
So not only do you have to miss them, you have to take on your own chores while you're missing them. Yeah. And while you're missing them and taking on your own chores, you got to take on their chores too. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. So it's not easy, you know.
So before we start to wind down, and I have a couple other questions for you, did you want to share any other interesting
let's see,
occurrences?
I told you about
Tony?
The healing. I told you about the tapping. I told you about the dream visits. I told you about the phone calls. I didn't tell you about the phone calls. We received 2 from him.
Okay.
The first one we received in March. It was early March. And I was on the phone talking to my youngest daughter. And we were just talking. And all of a sudden, the phone was static. And I'm calling her name, Dina, Dina, Dina. And I'm not hearing anything but static. So I waited a few minutes and I began to hear Tony breathing. And I know it was him because he has a very distinctive breath pattern that he's had ever since I've known him. And I actually heard him breathing. And I was so, I don't even know the word to use. I don't want to say alarmed, but fascinated that I didn't say anything. you know, maybe if I had said something to him, he would have said something, but I didn't say anything. And finally, the phone just went dead. And I immediately called my daughter back. And I asked her what happened. I didn't want to give her too much information. I wanted to see what she knew. So I said, what happened? And she said, the phone, did you hear that static? I said, yes. And I said, did you hear anything else? She said, Mommy, I heard Daddy breathing. I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. So that was the first time. That was in March. So that wasn't too long after he passed. And then he gave me a voice message saying my name, maybe about 6 months after that.
Wow.
It was on a voicemail. I went to my voicemail to listen to my messages, and I just ran across this message that said, Deborah. And it was his voice.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
So I immediately knew it was him. Yeah. And I kept it as long as I could. And you know how those phones are.
Yeah.
Messages get erased. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
But the crazy part, it was kind of funny to me a little bit, is I actually, a lot of these things that happen to me, I like to let my kids be aware of it because I don't want anyone to think I'm making anything up. So when my son came over to visit, I told him I wanted him to hear it. And when I gave it to him, he put the phone to his ear and listened to it. He took the phone and threw it. Scared the jabibis out of him. Scared him to death. He took the phone and threw it. Big, strong man. What are you scared of?
Oh, goodness.
So I'm like, wow. So it must be pretty real. I said, does it sound like your daddy? He said, yes. Absolutely, that's him.
Wow.
So yeah. So those were my 2 phone messages.
I'm so thrilled that he's still, you know, connected to you and making contact. And these stories are just really so amazing. The feathers really kind of blow me away quite a bit, just random. The one in your car. I mean, that's just.
Yes, because you wonder.
I don't know how they do this stuff.
Because you wonder, how do they do that?
Yes.
Exactly. Because another time he left like 8 feathers at one time. And the crazy part about it is my grandkids found them.
Oh.
In a place where no feathers should even be. And it's like, oh my God, it was 8 feathers. And it was during a time I was going through, you know, with him just passing and trying to get all your bills straight and, you know, trying to talk to people to make them aware that you're now single. You know, you go through a lot. And I was going through some things with a couple of people. So I was really stressed out. And that particular day, my grandkids were over. And they came, brought the feathers right to me in the bedroom. Look what we found, Grandma. Granddaddy left you some feathers.
Aww. So
they're very aware. And I like that they're aware.
So cool.
Because they can grow up with that knowledge.
Yep, exactly.
And, you know, it may change something and make it for the better. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think knowing is better than not knowing.
I think so. And that's why I like having these conversations and, you know, putting them out there for people to listen to if they want to. And I'm telling you, Deborah, there's more and more people coming to me, and these conversations are very enlightening and bring so much hope, really, just a lot of hope. And
yes,
and I just get, every time I have these discussions, I just get blown away more and more. Like you said, I do not know how
I bet
our loved ones are able to manipulate the environment in these unique ways. There's got to be something to it, because there's a lot of similarities with how they do manipulate the physical environment. So I wish I knew, like, the physics behind it. You did write a book.
Well, look at it this way. Yes, I did. Look at it this way. One day we'll all know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you have your book?
I mean, that's kind of a drab way, but yes, I do.
Yeah, I love it.
This is my book dedicated to my beautiful husband.
Love it.
Story of a Songbird, the life and afterlife of my twin flame. he helped me write this book. He absolutely helped me because, like I said, a lot of times I was just stunned or stopped. I didn't know how to go on as far as writing the book. You know, I didn't know where to go next because there's so much history between us. You know, I didn't know what avenue to go down. And with this particular book, I had started writing a book about him before he passed, a couple of years before he passed. And I think I got maybe the first chapter done. And it was supposed to be geared towards what it's like living with an active professional musician.
Oh, okay.
Because there are a lot of experience that I had that a normal person or a normal woman wouldn't have if she's not married to a musician.
Yeah.
So that's what basically what I was writing about. But so I just took the beginning and kept it as it was and just added to it. Okay. But I had such a hard time. Every time I wanted to close the computer, he'd tell me no.
Tap, tap, tap.
Like, oh, it's gonna be crazy.
I'm curious. Last time we talked, Tony was with you. Is he with you today?
Yes, he is.
Oh, he is.
Yes, he is. He's been here for a while. Yeah, he's been here for a couple hours.
All right. Well, let me know if he says anything to you before we close out, if he wants to share anything.
Okay, I will.
And I do want to give you, well, first of all, how can the listeners connect with you? Through?
Well, I'm at, I'll give you my email address.
You sure?
I am at drummer. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
I am at drummer 19551954@gmail.com.
Okay. And I'll link that as well in the video description. So, I mean, if anyone wants to contact you who maybe, you know, they might be struggling with loss, and you would be a wonderful.
Because I'm working with a couple of other widows now. Yeah, and they say that I give them a lot of encouragement. So
I bet.
I'm taking it as that's part of my journey now. Yeah. It's just to try to help other widows because I really had a hard time and I didn't have a lot of help in the beginning.
Yeah.
But that first year I struggled really, really bad. And I struggled, but I still was experiencing him. And I didn't know what I was experiencing because I didn't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was struggling really bad that first year. So yes, I'll help wherever I can.
I'll put your contact info in. I'll put your book, link to your book. I'll put a link to one of the groups, one or more of the groups, if you feel that is something you'd want to do. And I want to leave you with the last words, like anything on your heart that you feel like you want to share before we say goodbye.
Yes. One thing I realized, I thought about it a little earlier. I've always been the type of person that, I don't know if I mentioned it to you before, but I've always said that if someone had told me this was going to happen to me when I was younger, I would have laughed at them. No way is that happening to me.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something, Julie. As fearful as I may have been, as fearful as I could have been, because Tony laid it on me pretty hard. Love conquered all of that. I didn't care. Love is powerful. It's the most powerful thing on this earth. And my love for him killed all the fear that I ever had, even the fear I had as a child. His love conquered all of that. So their love is very powerful.
Well, yeah, love conquers fear. I've heard that so many times. And yeah, there is no fear in love and those sayings. And I love, and that's wonderful. I mean, I believe that.
Because the thing is, I'm going to say this real quick. The thing is, I think personally, if a lot of women felt what I felt from him, they would actually be scared. I really believe that. I don't think every woman is cut out to handle the communication that we are doing. I really don't.
Pretty intense.
I think they would actually be scared, because I have had widows tell me, I don't think I want them to do all that. Just give me a penny or give me a feather here and there, you know.
I understand. I understand
so,
that.
Yes.
But it was meant for you and Tony. And
it was.
Ultimately, yes, love is the thing that gets you through it. So yeah. Thanks for hanging out with me again, Deborah. You're so beautiful.
You're welcome. It was fun. Thank you.
And I just want to thank everyone listening. Appreciate you tuning in. This has been Julie McVey with Unordinary Made Ordinary, and I hope you'll join us next time for another fascinating interview. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this type of content, subscribe to the channel, and you can always hit the bell icon if you want to be alerted to future videos. And I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening wherever you are on the planet or off the planet. I'll see y'all next time.
Bye.